What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. As we have a fun show for you guys today as we are in the dog days of the NFL offseason. But Adam Thielen was actually raving about J.J. McCarthy after they were working out together a couple of days ago. And then also back half of today's show, I kind of want to take a trip down memory lane, talk about if the Vikings should sign Dalvin Cook if, Cam Akers isn't able to, pass that physical. Also, I'm going to give you guys some of my favorite memories of Dalvin Cook as a Minnesota Viking. But I want to get to this. Who do you guys think is the better Vikings wide receiver? Only with their tenure in Minnesota. Is it Adam Thielen or is it Stephon Diggs? Give me a 19 for Thielen or 14 for Diggs. As I'm assuming I'm going to see a lot of 19s down there in the comment section. But, hey, maybe you guys think Diggs is a better Vikings wide out. But you guys let me know down below. But let's kick it to the quote Adam Thielen had talking about J.J. McCarthy after they were working out together. He said he's got all the tools, that's for sure. He can sling it. He's super accurate. We were wearing shorts and T-shirts out there, but you can still see a lot just from accuracy, timing, and those kind of things when you're running routes on air. And I will say this is very interesting, Thielen saying this, and even the fact that Thielen chose to go work out with JJ. Obviously, Adam's got in, affection for the Minnesota Vikings. And, immediately when I saw this workout video, like my head obviously went to, could Thielen want to return? Maybe this was him sending a message to the Vikings front office saying, come save me, from the Carolina Panthers and bring me in, to Minnesota. So I could see that being the case, but overall, just great to hear, Thielen raving about the young buck, J.J. McCarthy. And, Thielen's still been very productive since he left Minnesota. I mean, this past year with Carolina, the fact that he was able to go over 100 yards, or 100 receptions, over 1,000 yards, still found the end zone, 4 times, I think it just speaks to, how much, Adam Thielen may still have, left in the tank here. And he could be an interesting option at wide receiver 3 because there's no doubt he still has juice. And maybe it doesn't have, the same juice he had back in 2018 where he broke the record for most 100 yards games, to start the season. But I still think Thielen, he's at the point of his career. He could still be a very, very effective wide receiver. And especially if you would put him at that wide receiver 3 spot next to Addison, next to Jefferson, like I could really get myself, behind the idea of him being wide receiver 3. But Thielen also said this about JJ, and I absolutely love this. He said, he's a great kid. You don't really realize that he's 21 years old when you're talking to him and when you're hanging around him. He's got a maturity about him that you can tell goes beyond his age. And that's step number 1 as a quarterback, right? To have that maturity level, have that kind of poise and kind of that aura around you that just feels confident. And he's just a good person. So I've really enjoyed being around him for the little time that I have been able to be around him. And that's just great to hear. Like, honestly, as a Vikings fan, like everything I've heard about J.J. McCarthy, and, this is no shock to me. The intangibles, what he brings off the football field, I think is incredibly important. And, I think we, as NFL fans, when we're evaluating these quarterbacks, like, obviously you look at the tape. You see how, other, measurables, like, are they a big guy? Are they a small guy? Like, all that matters. But I think we undervalue, the off-the-field stuff, the locker room, how you are to your teammates. Because when you are in that huddle, there's 3 minutes left. You got to go put together 7 points on a game-winning drive. How do you view that quarterback in that huddle? I think plays a big impact. So just, more ammunition, around J.J. McCarthy. And, Thielen would fit in well with this group as a wide receiver 3. Obviously we know the battle is going to be between Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield, and Jalen Naylor to duke it out for that wide receiver 3 spot. But let's say the Vikings go into training camp and they're not in love with either of these guys. Like, maybe they do try to swing a trade for Adam Thielen. So I say this, send a 6th-round pick, bring Adam Thielen home, like save him from Carolina. Obviously, they just drafted Xavier Legette at pick 32 or 33, I believe, in this past year's draft. So, they got their new wide receiver run, also have DJ Chark. Like, they got other options. Maybe Carolina could be saying, we'll do Thielen a solid and send him back to the place where, I think pretty clearly he wants to finish out his career with the Vikings. And also, I'm sure Thielen would love to finish his career with the Vikings while also being productive. While also still, maybe it's not like a clear, retirement tour for Thielen, but he could still come in and be effective. You guys let me know, would you trade a 6th-round pick for Adam Thielen? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass. Obviously, the Vikings having limited draft capital over the next, or mainly just next season, but maybe you could swing to the 2026 draft and cough up a couple late-round picks. But you guys let me know. Would you trade for Adam Thielen? Now, let's have fun. Let's talk about Dalvin Cook. It's a dog days of the offseason, as, there's not a lot out there before training camp right now. So I want to kind of take a trip back down memory lane and talk about one of my favorite players, honestly, that have ever worn the purple and gold. But as the Vikings running back room shakes out right now, you got the top two dogs, Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler. You got the gadget guy in Kene Wangu. Then you got Gaskin still on the roster, as well as Dwayne McBride, who they took in the 7th round of last season. And, Cook has definitely fallen off. We saw that wall come and hit him pretty dang hard over the last couple of years. And, even back in his 2022 year with the Vikings, I honestly didn't think he was, that effective. But he was still able to average 4.4 yards per carry. I still think he has some juice, left in the system here. But, look at that 2022 year. 312 carries, over 1,500 yards, 5 yards per carry, and 16 touchdowns. I thought he was the best running back in the league that year. His jump cut was fantastic. Like, his ability to move at full speed in his prime and to be able to move laterally, very well was just special out of Dalvin Cook. But we are getting reports that Akers is expected to re-sign pending a physical. We do know he's coming off that torn Achilles. So, let's just say that, physical doesn't go right, and the Vikings are looking at the running back market just to have another guy in there in Dalvin Cook. And I do think that, adds benefit to the team. Like, if you would just bring another, player in there with fresher legs, it just keeps everybody more healthy. And if you would have a three-headed monster of Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, and Ty Chandler, the run game should be, better than it has been over the last couple of years. But let's go back down memory lane here and just take a look at what Cook, was for the Minnesota Vikings. In 72 games played for Minnesota, he had just under 1,300 carries, just under 6,000 yards, and he found the end zone 47 times, ended up averaging 4.7 yards per carry with his tenure with the Vikes, and he averaged 82.1 rush yards per game. Now I'm going to show you guys two photos of my favorite memories when I think of Dalvin Cook with the Minnesota Vikings. Actually come from two of the craziest regular season games, frankly, in NFL history. But starting off with this play versus the Buffalo Bills. Vikings down 27-10. Bills just scored a touchdown. There's a minute 30 left on the clock in the third quarter. And I'm thinking this game is, all but over. And then Dalvin Cook on the first play of that drive, runs to the left, runs by all the Bills defenders, and he takes it to the house, makes it a 10-point game. And that was honestly, we could talk about that 4th and 18 play for Justin Jefferson, as that was a big reason why the Vikings won. But if Dalvin Cook doesn't rip off this home run play, and let's just say even the Vikings score on this drive, but let's just say it takes 5-6 minutes to get it done, Vikings end up losing that game. That was a massive play. Now, what about the Colts game? In the 33-0 comeback for Minnesota, Dalvin Cook takes a screen pass on the left side of the field, runs by all the Colts defenders. And, that's always something I felt like has gone undervalued in Dalvin Cook's game is, his ability to, I guess, navigate his blocks very well. Just specifically this play of him, taking it to the house versus the Colts. Like, he followed his blockers perfectly, was able to get it all the way to the house. So, pretty cool there. Just wanted to go back down memory lane, just look at some of my favorite memories as Cook, because I'm trying to think of, some more off the top of my head. Obviously, that game versus the Green Bay Packers, when the Vikings were coming off the bye, he found the end zone 4 times. Like, he was great there as well. Overall, Dalvin Cook, we did see the wall, coming after that 2021 season. And I was in the camp, especially if you guys have been watching the show for a long time, the Vikings need to move off Cook. I just felt like the time was needed, as, I was chalking up most of the Vikings, lack of run game success more to the running back position in comparison to the offensive line. But, if you would somehow bring back Dalvin Cook, pair him up with Aaron Jones, pair him up with Ty Chandler, I think it could be a really special backfield, here in Minnesota. But you guys let me know, would you bring back Dalvin Cook? Would you sign him pending the Cam Akers physical, does not go the way we all hope? But give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comments section. And as also, guys, I'm on Twitter tweeting about the Vikes all off season long. That's a handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Pretty fun show today. Thielen was raving about J.J. McCarthy, and then I want to talk about some little Dalvin Cook. So give me a follow over there on Twitter, and I'll give you guys a follow back. But thank you so much for watching. See you next time. SKOL Vikes.